Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Tri5 Guy, and in this video we're going to be putting a 5 litre V8 into a VN Commodore that originally had a V6 in it. Welcome back to the channel, part 2 of this video, cleaning up the underneath of the VN. I'm going to work on the engine today, take the intake manifold off, replace the intake gaskets. So this gasket had a bit of a blowout right here, so I'm going to pull off the intake and replace that, replace the exhaust manifolds with these ones here, tubular ones. Frank's cleaning the underneath of the floor pan. I've already rust treated the underneath of it way better. Coated the underneath with some chip guard. The underneath of these rails weren't painted, they were just still in primer, so I just cleaned them up. There's a chip guard on the inner fender as well, in the inside of the front guards. And this thing here didn't have any paint on it at all from the factory, so touched that up. And the rail all here, chip guarded, all up there, down. Clean up this rail, it looks good. Bit of a hand polish and that'll come up nice. So first things first, gonna pull this crap off here. Gonna take off this intake and yeah, take off the intake and fuel rail first, intake, whatever else is in the way, and replace that intake gasket. Pull the intake off, got the gasket sitting in place. Got the cork gaskets on too. I don't know if you guys use them. I'm putting them back on. I'm just going to put a dab of silicone on each corner and probably just a little bit on top. Do the same on this side, a bit in the corner, and a bit on each corner, and just a smear on top. I've got the oil pan sump off. It's over there. Got some of the accessories off over here too. The bracket for the power steering pump and the power steering itself, and also the sump. It's all going to be cleaned out. So obviously we took the engine oil out. I'm going to take the rocker covers off and then take off the exhaust manifolds as well. Okay, so all the underneath's been sanded, scraped, and ready for I put that's a rust inhibitor on there. That'll turn into this color here. So there's the difference. That's after the treatment. Leaves a film on it. It's got to be clean, but there it is there, and that's what it started like. But we sanded, we gave that a good scrubbing first, got it down, and then we put this rust inhibitor on it, and it'll end up looking like that. Yeah, it comes up pretty good. So that's getting done. Over here, we put the intake back on the engine, as you know. That's all on. Put the fuel rail back on. Oil pans on, or sumps on. New gasket. Cleaned out the pickup tube. New gasket on that. New seal on the pan gasket. Yep. So it looks good. Alright guys. So we've got a broken bolt in for the engine mount. So we're going to do the old weld the nut trick to it. Right there, as you can see, we're going to weld a nut to it, get it nice and hot. Probably, hopefully do it on the first attempt. If not, you know, just keep doing it. If you keep braking, you'll eventually heat it up enough. It'll back out. Looks like it's 3/8 bolt there. I don't know. Yeah, that would be 3/8. So put any sort of a nut on there and weld it in. It'll heat around, and yeah, it'll come out eventually. All right, so let's do that. We also clean the motor. It'll come up all right. So next thing I'll do after that is I'll tape up the valve cover, front accessories, or you know, all the aluminum alloy around here, and I'll just go to town, paint it. I'll paint it rebuild black. So yeah, it'll look like a marketplace rebuild. You are? Yep. Alright guys, so we're just cleaning up the threads, just making sure they're fine. Don't forget we heated that up and got the bolt out. It was a bit hard on the way out, so we're just going to clean up that thread a bit with the, chase the thread out with a 3/8 UNC. It's odd that most of the motor is metric, or a lot of it's metric parts, but these seem to be the old conventional, early type engine mount bracket bolts. Alright, that's pretty cool. Alright, those threads are all chased out. I'm trying to zoom in the camera. You can see threads there. Right there. Pretty good condition still. No worries. That side. So now we can put the engine mount. We've got the engine mounts over here. It's got another one for the other side. So these are prone to cracking and breaking. And the later model, I think from VP on, had a brace that went this way, and they're braced at the back across here. So I'll show you here. So they're braced this way, long ways, and braced across here like that. So to stop them from, I guess, they sort of want to roll over. You know what I mean? So, yep, looking good there too. While having an engine mount. The other one I'm going to straighten, and I'll put the brace in that definitely. So they'll have like later style engine mount brackets. So there you go. So we just decided to put the engine mount bracket on, see how handy work, and realised there's nothing going there. So maybe someone knows what that's for. Is it for an early style engine mount? They just left the boss in there? I don't know. But yeah, we did that for nothing. I don't know. The engine mount, if we put a bolt there now, I might have to put a grub screw in there if it goes all the way through. I don't know if it does go all the way through, but if it does, we'll just put a grub screw in that one. But yeah, we've got the engine mount on there, the bracket, sorry. And this one's a good one, nice and square. So we are going to brace that up because of the severe 195 kilowatts this motor will produce. So yeah, just kidding. But no, we are going to brace up because you never know. I mean, how ridiculous is it that, they built something like that? Alright guys, so the back half is all ready for the chip guard. So cleaned it all. If you remember, it was all pretty rusty under here, but it's all back down to clean metal as it was. So I'm going to give it a quick spray with the chip liner there, the chip guard. I'll go across into here. As you can see, this is where we stopped because this is the first section we cleaned. So I'll just do the rest of it, get it all in chip guard. And yeah, floor's got a few dents in it, but there's no rust, so you know what I mean. So here it is under here as well, so it'll look good. Tanks beat to hell, but if it still works, it's okay. But the price of these things going for now is incredible. I can't believe it, what they're asking. But anyway, we'll give that a bit of a chip guard, and yeah, let me get it done and I'll be back. Alright guys, so as I said earlier, this is what happens to these VN to VP engine mounts. They just crush, also causing the engine to hit the brake booster in a lot of cases and cracking it or breaking it. And here's a VN, a stock VN engine mount bracket. The later ones are braced with these steel brackets inside. We're going to put ours on a 45-degree angle. Like that, sort of, it's going to look like that. And then it's also got, these are going to be welded here, and that's sort of like to mimic the original Holden ones, and it's sort of going to look like this one here that my brother welded up already. It's nice and hot still. So there it is there, that'll never crush. So just a bit of a thought that you guys put new engine mount brackets, try to get the VR to VS ones. So that's what they look like tack welded back in. Ain't gonna go nowhere. All right, guys, just think about doing that. It's not a bad idea. If you've got VN ones, if you've got VR VS, they're already braced. I think some VP too, like halfway through the production, they started realising the VNs were collapsing, so there you go. Alrighty. Alright guys, painted the rocker covers, they're all done. Heat-proof paint. You know, the blocks have been painted, the top of that's been painted. That looks good, both sides. They're all on. Painted the spark plug lead holders. They're over here, they're just drying. Over here, the covers there, kind of like hide the fuel rails. They're all done. And the front cover here is also being repainted. And my brother's cleaning up the engine mount right now. So yeah, getting there. All right guys, put some, blacked out some stuff here. There, you put the alternator, set the alternator on, put the front pulley on. And now it's a cross member, got it all, it's all painted as you know. We're gonna lower the car down onto it. And yeah, let's do that, eh? We'll bolt it up. All right, so I've got the K member on, as you can see. Next thing is we're going to just do up the ball joints. So I don't know what's going on with the struts, if we're going to use lowered struts. But for the moment, we need to roll. We're just going to do up the nuts just loosely. But these we're going to tighten these at home. At the moment, they're just up there, if you know what I mean. So get that on and put it so we've got... yeah, we can get it to roll. I'm not going to put the rack and pinion on until the motor's in, because I know what's going to happen. It's going to get in the way. So motor in, then rack and pinion, because I want to put the exhaust on and all that stuff. Usually on the V6, the motor and transmission will hit the rack and pinion, and you got to lower it. So we'll just delete that problem right now and not put it in until we're ready to go. All right. So cross members in. Put one of the aircon line on. You got to sort of put it in without the motor, because it goes behind that section there. Also put the condenser on, condenser and fan, that's all on. It's really dirty, because we were still cleaning up the underneath of it after we painted all this area here. But you know, all that area there is all painted. Like I said, the cross members in. And over here, we just painting up some of the accessories. Put this, the bracket here, that's a dual aircon and power steering bracket. We've taken out the freeze plugs, Welsh plugs here. They're just rooted. Yeah, so just decided to do all 10 of them. So get that done and bang them in. And yeah, there's more parts out there that we cleaned, painted. Air conditioning pump brackets, engine mounts are all painted. The power steering brackets all painted. So we'll get all that done and we'll fit all that, new Welsh plugs and so forth. So this alternator regulator is broken, but the V6 one seems to be the same, so we'll steal that. And yeah, we'll just get ready, everything put back together, if I can learn English. And then I'll put the exhaust manifolds on it, the tubular style, which are over there. And then I'll put the, you know, we'll put the freeze plugs back on, and then the drive plate, transmission, kick down cable, have it all ready with the exhaust on it and all, everything all buttoned up in here. Put the wiring on it that belongs to it. I'm pretty sure, I've got to find out if there's any wiring, or maybe the wiring can go after, I don't know, we'll find that out later. Anyway, move on. Alright guys, so we got most of the accessories back on. Power steering pump, air conditioning, compressor. The alternator's in place. Nothing's bolted. I can put the fan out. We're going to put the fan out on. Got the exhaust on. They're HSV. We've got brand new flex plate, AOP bolts on there. Done a complete, absolute complete rattle can Rico on it. So it's brand new now. Got a 3000 store going in it. Rebuilt Turbo 700 R4. I don't know what brand it is. What was the brand again? I forgot what it was. But anyway, it's an orange one, so it must be good. And we're about to mount the transmission behind the motor. And then we're going to fit off everything, like get everything that's got to be on the motor. Like transmission lines are going to be put on. Just anything, because they're a nightmare. With a 6-cylinder, a nightmare. I'm sure they're even bigger nightmare with a V8. So get them on there, reshape them. We're going to reshape the V6 ones because we can. And then, yeah, whatever needs to be put on as far as wiring, we'll do it now. And then we'll install it. Engine mounts are on too, forgot to say that. We did the modifications to them. You probably see them through there. It gusseted, all on. Yeah, so we're getting there now. So everything's been detailed, painted. Rear end's all painted black. It's dark as hell under here. But I'll show you guys later. Yeah, absolutely dark. I'll show you when it's light. Alright guys, the underneath's all got the deadener on it, or actually it's chip guard, and painted the diff. So all that's all done. Looks good, better than it was. All done nicely, looking forward. Another thing we done was put on the, I don't know if I mentioned it, but we put on the condenser fan around the air conditioning line right here. All these under here wasn't painted. I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but it wasn't painted, but it's all painted now. So yeah, temporary, all that guys, sway bar bushes are got to go on and so forth, but we'll put the motor in and hook up everything, and we'll go from there. All right, I'll be back. All right guys, so pretty much ready to sit in the engine bay. Both transmission lines are done. We need one more belt, which is the power steering belt, but the rest of them are all on, ready to go. We've put the new plug wires in, or spark plug leads. Yeah, they're all on, nice. Starter motor is now on. Whippers, the weed whacker's going crazy. Yeah, so next is we're going to drop it in. Also kickdown's on, kickdown cable's on. We've adjusted the belts for the aircon and the alternator. They're all done. I've left the fan off, only because it's easier. But yeah, okay. So next step is we're going to drop it in. So stick with us, guys. So we've taken the bonnet off, and now we're just getting the motor ready and just trying to get it all square and get the angle right. It looks like I might have to go on a bit more of an angle though. Yeah, to hit this pan. Just hold that away from that pan, mate. Yeah, look at that angle. Will it go down, Frank? Can you push that down?
Yeah, and get a bit out of it.
You know what I mean? I don't want it so much pressure that it's hitting underneath the tunnel. You know what I mean? So maybe one more chain forward.
You want to go back that way?
Yeah. All right, let's try that. We'll get it situated, guys, and then we'll get it ready to drop in. Be back. In there now, we're going to hook up the gearbox cross member. Fits in good. It's all in. The engine mounts got the bolts through it, and now next thing we're going to do is put the cross member on, and then yeah, we'll put the cross member on, and that'll be a install 304 into a VN Commodore that had a 3.8 in it. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, guys, a little bit more drama. So with this kit, this conversion kit that was supplied, you know, the engine, transmission, all it's supposed to be complete kit, everything. There was no cross member, as I said earlier. Also, he was supplied a tail shaft, but the tail shaft was out of a ute. So, I mean, the guy told him it was a sedan tail shaft, and clearly it wasn't. When we went to go put it in, it was about 4 inches longer. So I had to separate the front of it. Luckily, the front half of the shaft was a V8 one, which is under here. You can't see it; it's too dark. And that was the rear half of that tail shaft, and it's completely wrong. It's out of a ute. So what I did is I pulled apart the original V6 tail shaft, because from the center bearing back, obviously it's going to be correct spot. So I pulled the V6 one out, and I'm going to repack the bearing. You know, if we weren't so time constrained and on a sort of a budget, I would buy the new, you know, the new CV joint a couple of universals and do it right. But for now, just to get it running, because I'm gone here in a couple of weeks back to the States, so I'm just going to put it all together so it's a runner, you know what I mean? And then, you know, things like the front brakes, unis, all that sort of stuff can be resolved, you know what I mean, after. So anyways, yeah, so I painted that up last night. We stripped it. I've got all the parts here. I'm going to repack the grease, repack the CV joint, clean up everything, put it all back together. Well, here's the front half of the V6 one. These are longer. See, the V6 one is longer across here because the V6 sits further, you know, forward than the V8. The V8 is shorter. But, you know, obviously from the center bearing to the rear end is going to be identical, right? Because that sits in the same spot no matter what it is, except for a ute and a wagon. From here back on a wagon, they're longer. And but in a sedan, we can use the V6 one. So like I said, I'm going to take this off. I'm just going to pull this circlip off, clean up all this grease, get the balls out, get the cage out, repack it and bang it in. Use high temp grease with this because this is spinning all the time. Don't go using just cheap grease. You need high temperature, like racing grease, you know what I mean? So make sure you use good quality grease because it will get hot and it will leak out. So just be careful of that. And here, here's part of the CV here too, which goes into here. All right, I'll be back when I pack that and put it together. Just a quick update, a better view of what I've done there. Yeah, that's a used mount. It's what we had here laying around. I'm going to change it, but for now, you know, to get it running. But that cross member we made, it's pretty neat. Plenty of strength there. The only thing I don't like is V8's used a double mount setup, but I'm sure he's going to either modify this again or go buy a V8 cross member. No big deal there. Replace, now that's a V8 front shaft, which is the same as for all V8 304s for a Turbo 700 R4. The back half, everyone calls them like, oh, a V6 shaft. It's not. All the sedan ones are the same, be it V8 or V6. They're all the same because this point here from here to there is identical unless it's a wagon or a ute. It's longer. But other than that, it's a sedan rear shaft. So you can use your V6 one, or if you had a V8 shaft, you replace the whole shaft. So that's a V8 front half and the original V6 rear half, but same as a V8, no difference in a sedan. All right, so that's done, bolted up, ready to go. Putting on the exhaust next. Just waiting on some bolts for the flywheel cover here. So get that done. Power steering lines are got to go on. And yeah, we'll put the sway bar on. And then we're moving upstairs there in the engine bay and getting all that buttoned up, wiring and so forth. Yeah, so it's getting there. It's been a while, but I hooked up the shifter cable. I hooked up the shifter linkage. That's all done too. Like I said, I'm just waiting on these bolts to come. They're not the right size bolts, but I'm just waiting on him to get here. He's going to get some, so we'll get that done. But it's getting there. Yeah, all right, we'll be back. Okay guys, really dark here, but we've got the exhaust on, rack and pinions on. We've got all the lines going up to the rack and pinion. I probably already said that previously. Got the exhaust on. This is the V6 half. It goes on. It does go on. It's about the same size. I mean, I think it comes out to 2.5 inches. It's pretty dark here. So, hang on, let me move this light here. So, got all that on. New rubbers for the exhaust, hangers, sorry. Got everything's pretty much on and underneath here. We still need a couple of tie rod ends. Like I said, guys, we're going to replace these brakes. Don't hound us about it. Right, they're all going to be replaced with bigger brakes and stuff, but for now we just want to get out of here. We're going to do a transmission cooler next. So that transmission cooler is going to go on. We're going to fit the radiator steel. What else? O2 sensor. O2 sensor is going to go on. All the wiring's buttoned up upstairs. I'll lower the car, I'll show you. Here's another look at the exhaust. Like I said, everything's on. I need a tie rod end on this side and that side. We'll just put 2 new tie rod ends. We've got them, so we're going to do that. Hang on. I brought the car down. We need to put a another accelerate cable, a V8 one. That's got to go on. What else? Like I said before, O2 sensor. We need. I had to replace a few wires down there that go to the intake. There's a single temperature sender wire. It was just hard as a rock. I replaced it. Ran all the starter. We put this on too. That's all bolted into place. Got to find out what that's for. Do a bit of research. They've cut it off here and they had it on a 3 amp fuse. So whatever they had it on, I don't know. I'll research it. This is going to go through the firewall. That's got to get hooked up. The ECU hooked up. Got a couple of more little heater hoses and the radiator, like I said, and put the fan on and the bonnet back on. Got to find out where this goes. Must go somewhere close because that's where it's sitting. Like I said, the power steering hose is all on. All the hoses behind here are all hooked up. Water hoses, fuel lines are all hooked up. The distributor connectors on, fuel injection connectors, everything. Like I said, radiator hoses and stuff. And put oil in it, transmission fluid in it. And yeah, I guess see it all start. Also I extended the wiring for the coil wire, or coil wires. Yeah, so we're going to put the coil melter somewhere else. It was just absolutely ridiculous. His idea was to put it behind the engine. That's just retarded. But anyway, yeah, all right, guys, that's it for this video. Please like, subscribe. See if I can get more than 500 views. That'd be awesome. This is my last couple of weeks here back in Australia. So back home, I'm going to play around with the VR ute, get a few things done for that. Going to be going a power tour in it. I'm not going to be competitive in any ways or means, but I just want to cruise around with the guys. There it goes. Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and a couple of tracks in each, I think. There's about 4 or 5 stops. And then, yeah, just go for a cruise and cruise with all the people that are going to be entered in it. Meet a few people, a few YouTubers, so it's going to be good. All right, guys, signing out. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next one, which will be the driving video. Us starting it. So we're not just going to end this. We're going to have a starting video. We're going to finish off all the stuff, start it, and, yeah, take it for a cruise. All right, guys. See you then.